You're listening to the OK Dad podcast.
Please leave your message for
Daddy-o.
Hi, Daddy-o.
Okay, Dad podcast. Let's start this thing.
Can you not put that on YouTube?
You're listening to my husband talk a lot.
Yourself. Okay. Christian's a really good friend of mine. We've been friends since early middle school.
Yeah.
In our teenage years, growing up on the south side of town.
Yeah. So sorry.
Christian is he's a comic, podcaster, content creator, artist, brother, boyfriend, Carvana 10-year employee.
10 years coming up.
And I don't know, is there anything I missed?
I like to tickle people, but not like physically.
Consensual tickling?
Yeah. Like, my words, I hope they tickle people, you know, just by putting jokes, being dumb, moving around, like just doing dumb little dances or just trying to make people smile, you know, like, I feel sometimes every day is like so serious. And
Everywhere.
Yeah, and for me it's just like, you have to enjoy every day. So I try to make people laugh. Sometimes it doesn't work, and that's fine.
I think that's where it's crazy right now with the tone online, especially.
Yeah.
It's so serious. Everybody walks around, you know, in a kind of like a stuck-up manner.
Yeah.
Whether it's politics, whether it's your own ideas, and if somebody's not on board with you, you're just kicking them out.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people miss just laughing with each other. Doesn't matter if you're a different color.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if you grew up in a different area. It doesn't matter if you vote for one way or the other. Everybody's laughing. Like when you would go to a comic show and you just be in that environment and laugh, like we don't see that a lot right now, and I don't. Going out and about right now, going to the store, getting gas.
Yeah.
You look around, the only people that are smiling are like kids.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we went to one of your improv shows before COVID happened, and that was just a fun time. You know?
Yeah, that was at, I think it was at Bear Stage.
Bear Stage, yeah. And I still follow them on Instagram,
Yeah.
and they're struggling through this COVID
They had
too.
to close down the theater. For now.
They did?
Yeah. But it's a strong community.
They still own it?
I
Or
think
did they have
had
to get
sell
shut
the
down?
spot, yeah.
Ah,
They had to move all their stuff out. But they'll be back. Just when everything's, you know,
yeah.
get better.
And what I liked about that though is I was kind of lost. I think after doing drama and theater arts and going off to college and the military, I kind of lost that side of myself, and I wasn't able to make people laugh on stage. You know, and you know me at work and everything. So I think laughter is super important, like you're saying, to just life. Because if you're not able to laugh, like you're just walking around so serious all the time, and that's bad for you.
Yeah. And like when we say laugh, like it doesn't mean like stand-up comedians or YouTubers or whatever. It's like the funniest people I know are my friends and family. Like I'll get home and then my dad he'll like after he busted his ass all day, he'll just make like a weird noise or be like like screw that guy or something. He'll just say something quirky, and that always cracks me up. So it's not necessarily, it's just like your family and friends. Like you don't need to put on a video to laugh. You know, you can just have a conversation with your mom or your sister, or your brothers. Or...
Definitely, I think for me, the person that was the most funniest person in my family was probably my grandfather. And it's always like at family events, he would pull us away and start telling us little jokes. And they're so colorful that you probably shouldn't be telling a little kid this, but he would always pull us aside and tell us some crazy jokes. And that's how you remember people, you know, growing up like that. My podcast is kind of talking about fatherhood, being an okay dad.
Okay.
So to kind of go into that, you're not a father yourself that you know about, right? But I guess one of my first questions would be, I know you have some smaller sisters that you had, and growing up, what I noticed is that you were kind of a male figure for them. So my question to you is like, how much of a hand in like their upbringing do you think you had in that?
I think a good amount because, I used to change my sisters, like, diapers and all that. I would look out for them, feed them, make them food. I just felt like I had the opportunity to, even if it was like, oh, I need $5 for a book at school or something, I'll give it to them because they grew up way different than I grew up. Me, like, I was working like at 14, 13, younger, cutting lawns, whatever it was, at the bowling alley.
Yeah.
So, and they didn't have to do that, they were lucky enough to just focus on school and focus on being a kid and growing up. So whatever I did, if my parents were busy, I had to go work or something, I would watch them. We'd watch TV, I'd play music with them. Discipline them sometimes too, which wasn't easy. Sometimes they didn't want to listen.
Do you think if you weren't there at all, they would be the same person they are today?
I'm sure they'd be a lot different. They probably wouldn't think of like little things like I don't know. They probably would have met some like seen somebody else's maybe father figure and followed them.
I think that's where it's crucial because we're all different.
Yeah.
And depending who raises us, you can have the best dad in the world. And I think we've had quite a variety of friends growing up together and seeing different households.
Some households without a dad.
Yeah. I mean, we have some buddies where my parents separated when I was already out of the house, 22. We have some parents that waited until right after they graduated high school, they separated. Like you said, we had some people who didn't have any kind of parents.
Yeah.
I know there's a close friend of ours who I've never even seen his dad. Yeah, I know you know who I'm talking about.
Uh-huh.
And it was just a mother, but the stuff that we go through, depending on who our father is at the time, especially like big talking about male role models, is you can have like the best dad, but if that person isn't perceptive to that, they're not going to turn out great. So I think it does depend. If you have a really bad dad or no dad, you can kind of see that and be like, okay, this is what I don't want to be, growing up. And I think that's where a lot of people struggle with now. There's hate for dads that aren't there. There's hate for dads that want to be there, but they can't be there because mom is just saying, hey, I don't want you here because you don't pay money. I don't want you here for whatever reason.
Or even like they went to the court and you can't even see.
Yeah, you can't even see your kid. And there's just that stuff everywhere today. And one thing that I think it affects is, not to sound cliche, but the children. It's affecting the children in so many ways.
Yeah.
And they're by the time they're old enough, they're not going to be able to decipher what's going on. They can't decipher that right now. But one thing that I do believe is, let's take for instance, a dad's not there at all. Like in your case, your dad was there, but you're saying you're working at a bowling alley, you were working when you were 14, and you were taking care of your sisters. I got an 11-year-old daughter who doesn't want to change a diaper right now, and we're asking her to change a diaper, but she wants to be a babysitter. So it's like, okay, and I'm sure you can remember being 11, like, yeah, I changed the diaper, okay? And, Cindy's like, well, no, I'm not changing that diaper, he's a boy. It's like, okay. But, not everybody has that luxury in life. And even if you don't have a male figure or you don't have a brother figure, there's somebody there that can fill that role for you, whether it be a stepdad, whether it be a grandfather, or even a brother that's, without a household with a father there. And I think you're an excellent example of that too. You stepped up to the game. You didn't even know that there was a game, and you're like, "Oh, this is what I have to do. This is family." And a lot of people don't see that now. And I think that's just instrumental in having a good, solid family. There's a lot of, at least in my family, there is a lot of Hispanic culture that goes on, and that culture kind of leads to some toxic relationships
Definitely.
that go into adulthood that still aren't managed.
Mm-hmm.
And trying to raise children now to show them that that's wrong is where I'm struggling with it myself. I want to have them around their own family, but when mom and dad say no sugar, and grandma and grandpa give them sugar, like that's when it becomes something different. Like, okay, well, grandma and grandpa, you're not going to be able to see them if you're not listening to us, you know? But that's kind of stuff that I want to be covering in my podcast a little bit. Going over and just spitballing back ideas for yours. Like, what are you thinking about?
No, I like that. I think, especially younger generations, there's some dads out there that are like freaking 16, 17, 18 that they probably didn't plan it, but it happened. And they, you know, sometimes you just need advice, and whether you get it from someone in your life or somebody you admire on TV or just a teacher or role model, it's always good to help people process things, even if it's just a conversation. They might get something out of it that will help them in the future. Yeah, I know it's not easy.
Yeah,
being a dad, you know, I'm a cat dad, and I just pitch in for like food. I do have some turtles at home that I feed, like stuff like that. Like you have to taking care of something's not easy, especially over many years. And
there's people that now like they even polarize that. Like,
yeah.
Oh, you call yourself a cat dad or a dog mom. That's the other term. And they're like, that's not a child.
Yeah.
You know, you don't have to see them day and night. But that to me doesn't even seem like you said. You have to care for something.
Yeah.
And people fight about that too. There was one thing I did a few years back. I posted a picture of a twig and said, I bet y'all won't fight about this. And sure enough, the comments, that's not a twig, that's a stick.
Oh, dang.
That's not a stick, that's a branch. That's not a branch, that's a slingshot without the rubber. There were so different things, and it's about perspective.
Yeah.
Like so many things in life are about perspective. And I think one of the things that we do pretty good at is we try to not take everything so serious in life as we walk around at work. Anything we can do to kind of get a little laugh, a little bit of laughter out. And I know for me, often in my career path, that's always been a demerit from higher up is you need to be a little bit more serious. You need to be a little bit more tamed. And
your posture and like
everything.
Whole image is, for I guess, professional thing is just. I mean, I get it if your goal is to be, you know, super high up in a company, but at the same time, it's just like, how much of that can you take? Like, isn't there any room for, you know, hey, let's just mess around for 5 minutes and then get down to business, you know what I mean? And I think with the new hires too, like, I try and joke around with them, you know, I'd be like, you know, it's a different atmosphere out here, you're not next to the boss or whatever, so, you know, we can joke around, talk about whatever, but still, you know, still get stuff done. It's different how even just being outside, like environment versus being like in an office environment.
Drastic.
Yeah, it's really
drastically changes people's moods.
Yeah.
And how people see things. And I think that goes back to like the perspective that we talked about. Just depending on your perspective is how you're acting. And if you're able to if that's a part of who you are, I think you're a lot more happier. And if there was something we could do to like find out how happy people are based on how much they laugh, I bet there's a correlation there.
I definitely think so.
You do some kind of poll or survey.
Is this a stick? It's a pre-spear. It's not even a spear yet. It's getting there though.
That's a nice spear branch. I think. So talking about work, how do you feel the differences? Because so where we work at Christian is our lot attendant, and we have two kind of vastly different positions. Kind of, I guess the market side, which is customer base, title registration, paperwork, they sit in an office. We sit in an office, right?
Yeah.
We load up a car on a flatbed truck, for people who don't know what that is, and we give it to customers. We drive back, and Chris's side of it is the operation for cleaning. So prepping the cars, prepping the exterior, which like you keep getting your equipment stolen.
Yeah. It sucks. It's like, oh man, we just got a good setup, we just got everything working, and then boom.
Stolen. And the elements out there change. We're in Texas, we're in San Antonio, so we're South Texas. And it changes from, what did it just change from 94 to 65? Was it yesterday?
It was pretty cold yesterday.
And a lot of the people that are market ops, that are customer facing, they're not outside. I mean, 10-hour shifts. So you're working 8 or 10-hour shifts?
Since we only done the 2 people in the back, I've been doing like 8 or 9s. Sometimes I'll do a 10.
And
if I have time.
Percentage wise, how much are you outside?
All the time. As soon as I clock in, I'm outside. If I have to go to get a meal, I'll go inside, clock out for lunch. And then at the end of the day, I like to clock out.
So like 98% you're outside. And I'd say for our job, it's probably 60, 70% maybe. And if we're not in the office, we're walking for 10 minutes to go back into the office or to go back into a truck. So driving. I'd probably put it at 70, 80 maybe % inside something, not just exposed all the time. And it's weird how that changes some people's mindsets.
Yeah.
And I think some people that are no longer with us too had kind of that mindset, just because like you're working here and I'm working inside. Like there's a difference in how we value ourselves. And I don't believe in that.
Yeah, definitely not. I feel like some people are just, sounds weird, afraid to sweat. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they see it as like a bad thing. It's not, it's just part of life.
I think a lot of people don't get enough like hard work in them to grow. You know?
I think as the generations progress, I mean, you know, I don't want like 15-year-olds working in a mine.
Why not?
Well, I mean, if they go, you know, if they want that Camaro, they better, you know, they better do what they have to.
I thought you were talking about Minecraft.
Well, nowadays you can turn on the computer, freaking stream of Minecraft and make money. I mean, there's, you know, but I don't know. At least the people that I guess I've met, some of them are just like, dang, this is crazy. As soon as they step outside.
This is a lot of work.
Yeah. How do you do?
Yeah, I know we've had some people there that the amount of being outside the first few weeks they didn't like. And it's like, well, this is a majority of the job and they're not even taking into account how much time you guys are spending outside, you know?
And what if like I get hurt or something? And then who's gonna take over?
Who's gonna step up?
Yeah, who's gonna be the person to be like, you know what, I got this.
I remember we just had you as the lot attendant, and
For a couple of years, right? Like 2 years?
yeah, we still 18, 20 cars maybe a day, and you were still knocking them out. And the day you were off, I think it was Wednesdays or Thursdays, but somebody working inside was going to take over your shift for that day, and it fell on me. And I guess there was some miscommunication with me and leadership, but apparently I was tracking it because I started tracking. I'm like, wow, man, I feel like I've been doing this for a couple months, and I look back at it, and it had been 6 months that I was doing it. 5 or 6 months that I was, the week that you were working 5 days a week, we're open 6. So the day you were off, I was doing it for 5 or 6 months. I was the person doing it. And there was a day where I was like, all right, it didn't follow me. I remember so vividly because I'm still in the reserves.
Yeah.
So I went to drill. That was the month afterwards that I had to bring it up because I had 3 days off that month. And if I wasn't working for Carvana, I was in drill.
Yeah.
And I had 3 days off that month, and I was like, no, this is crazy. I got no time to deal with myself or anything else, family, personal life, leisure. And I brought it up, and I'm like, well, look, let's look back, and I have the schedule for 5 months. I've been the lot attendant, so I've been the only person working from the inside. Okay, we'll start sharing that shift. I thought you just wanted that shift and you were comfortable with it because you got out a little bit earlier. Well, sorry for the miscommunication. No. Okay. So we put another person from the inside to work that shift. The morning of that shift that they were supposed to work, they called in.
Oh no.
2 weeks later, we did away with that shift and started hiring lot attendants. And when you think about that, it's like, how often does that occur?
Yeah.
Not just here, but in so many other places, because there's a lot of times where leadership or people that are in higher levels don't work in something that needs elbow grease or work.
Yeah.
And then it changes. And all it takes is them to, okay, here, come check it out. Or you know what? You do it for the day.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm not doing it for that day. Oh, let's change this whole process. You know? But you do put in a ton of work there. How are you able to put in so much work there and then still do your podcast and stuff?
I think that job really fits my lifestyle. I go in early, I get out early. I go in 6 a.m. sometimes earlier, 5:30. Get out at 2:30, sometimes 3, and then I have the rest of the day to do pretty much whatever I want. If I have to pick up my girlfriend from work, or if there's a yard I gotta go cut, just to make some extra cash, I can do that. My time's more flexible. And then it's I got nothing going on. Let's see if I can record something, whether it be a podcast or hey, there's pre-pandemic it was there's a show tonight. I could probably go see that. So, I don't have kids.
You got a turtle though.
I do have a turtle, so I gotta make sure that turtle's fed. I take care of the turtle, and then pretty much it's I have say 5 or maybe 6 hours before I have to go to bed to be well, what do I feel like doing today? You know what I mean? It's Inktober. I can do my drawing for Inktober. Or, hey, let's go see, I can message people on Instagram, maybe an artist or something, hey, you free tonight? Or stuff like that. I'm here today because, I'm off today, but also, I don't know, it just fits, I don't really have a lot of pressure on me.
Oh, same. Yeah, for my personal time, I want to be able to manipulate what I'm doing with it. And I think it was great. We were, 3 days out?
Yeah.
You're like, hey, Erica's working.
Yeah, for sure.
And I was telling my wife, I was like, yeah, Chris told me Erica's working. I told him, I was like, well, Betty's working. You think they're working together? And that's how we were able to kind of set up today. What's your turtle's name?
We haven't named it yet. It's weird because we have 3. They're 3 water turtles and then 1 tortoise.
Those things get big.
Yeah, they get big, so.
You think it's going to outlive you?
Yeah, for sure.
You think
so? Tortoise will.
Yeah.
I think turtles live less time.
Are you going to bequeath it to someone?
I'm just going to live in the shell. It's going to be so big, I'm just going to crawl up in there. I'll probably die in there.
Are you thinking about naming it like a Mario themed name?
No, I kind of want something like a villain name. I really like
Bowser.
Villains. Maybe Bowser's a good one.
There's a ton of turtles. Yeah. All those turtles are evil villains. Yeah, one of our we had 7 chickens. One of them, I think I named it Chicken. So it was pretty good.
But yeah, I do what I gotta do. That job keeps me in shape. I don't have to spend time going to the gym or working out at home. So it's kind of okay, took care of work, took care of my daily aerobics or whatever physicals need. So that helps out to free up my day to do podcasting. If I don't want to do anything at all, I can just go take a nap or sleep. Or let's say maybe my girlfriend wants to watch a movie or something or my family's hey, let's just stay inside, watch a movie together, order pizza.
Are you a morning person? If you were just on your own schedule, what time would you wake up?
Oh, like 10 a.m.
10?
Yeah.
Oh, that's too late for me. Oh man, I went in and I went in at 5.
Yeah.
And Vince is always telling me, he's like, yeah, I come in at 5. So I came in at 5. And then I came in at 5 again the next week. And Vince comes in around 5:20. He's like, man, you're here early. I go, Vince, you're here late, man. I thought you'd get in at 5. And he asked me, he's like, well, are you, I think we should have more advocates come in at 5 o'clock. Vince doesn't talk like that. I just make him sound like a super tough. I think more of you guys should come in at 5 and work and see how long we work and how early we work. And I'm like, yeah, man. I mean, it helps you appreciate when you're stepping somebody else's shoes. And I've even told him, I was like, put me on a lot of tennis shifts when you're gone or when Vince is gone. Like, I'll help out. I wash cars all day. At the end of the day, your hands all throbbing because you wash so many cars.
The
like
pressure washer shaking your hand all day.
Yeah, I'm like, I'll do that. Like, I love working hard. You feel so much better than if you just had a desk job all day. That's one thing that I love because I'm not in an office all day. I'm not out of an office all day. And every day is different. And he tells me, he goes, hey, Brian, do you even like getting up at 5? Do you even like getting up at 4 and getting here at 5? I was like, Vince, I was in the military. I'm in the military for 10 years. Did 4 years active. From 6 to 9 in active duty, we did more stuff than I do now in a whole day. I love getting up at 4 and knocking everything out. I wish I could do that every day. If I go to sleep and I'm waking up anywhere past 7, it's because my wife doesn't want me to get out of bed.
Yeah.
But man, I would get up early every day and knock everything out. And then come 10 o'clock, just relax for the rest of the day. Sure. Then I feel like how you feel, like, oh, I can control my own schedule from here. Do I want to go cut a grass? I'm cutting the grass after this session.
Yep.
And around in the neighborhood. So, like, it's very, very laid back, but, like, intentional what you're doing with your time. I think that's what's solid.
Yeah, it's all about just what do you want? Do you want to work a 10-hour day and come home and work some more? Or do you want to work early and then after that you do whatever you want? I mean, I'm sure for everyone's different, but for me it's I go to work, come out a little bit earlier, and then it's like the fun starts. And then I do have fun at work. I gotta see you every day. It's pretty sick. And then just mess around, do my thing, and then I come home and it's just like, what do I want to do today? So yeah, I've been trying to podcast, trying to just I don't know. I really like for a while, like you said, I was lost too after high school. We're doing theater so long. It's like, oh, now you gotta face the real world and get a job and figure out how you're gonna pay for school. And you're going to be living on your own and all this stuff. And it's just like, well, when am I going to have time to, do a play or even...
Do something fun.
Yeah, do something fun.
Yeah, and I've even thought about that. I've seen, we went to, where did we go? We went to Cincinnati and we saw a show and they were our age. And I'm like, man, you see a show, you're like, I want to get back into acting. I want to get back into theater. I want to start doing some plays, like start doing in your head, like, oh, I can make a rehearsal twice a week. I can spend a couple hours learning some lines. I mean, I have around here script to Grease that we did in high school.
Nice.
And I recorded one of the sessions. I recorded a mic test with my Vince Fontaine lines when I was doing a mic check, and I found it in there, and I had those lines, like I said them verbatim, and it's just, those are moments that you remember. They're part of you. You grow. I think theater is really good. I'm trying to push my daughter into theater over like music and stuff like that because I think it helps you grow. I think you get discipline from band or you get a lot of character from sports. Discipline, and I feel theater arts gives you a good balance of all of that. But we also had a really great teacher, I think, too. Especially.
And also had a
7
balance,
years.
like being in pressure situations where all the spotlight's on you. You have to react. You have to follow through. You have to be disciplined. Like, you know what I mean? You can't. So I think that's really important early on to just how do you deal when there's some sort of pressure on you or you're in the spotlight, whether it be at a job interview or you're giving a presentation for your company or something like that, or you're just doing a show. It's very helpful.
And I think improv that you do, I think that's a lot of that too. And it I don't know, it helps you because improv's one thing, but then doing improv and you're not genuine, like you're not going to get a real laugh out of people, which is, it's weird that the audience can see that. Like we can see that. Somebody's a really good actor. You could tell, okay, we're at an improv thing, but he definitely rehearsed that so many times. Or those lines are so well thought out and said. Is that from a play, a script? That's something that's not off the top. And seeing you react, because you're not just acting, but you're reacting in improv. And I don't know that much. Like we scratched the surface when we did our improv show in high school. We scratched the surface again when we closed out the talent show a few years ago.
That was fun.
For them. And that was great. That was kind of the bringing me back, like, hey, you know what? I remember this feeling. I like it. Like, this is something,
The
I
dark
want to
stage,
do.
the light's not even up yet, it's cold in the theater, walking around the green room, dressing room, that anticipation, those butterflies, that
You hear
you're
that?
like, all right, we're going to do this.
You hear the clapping outside. Christian.
And Stone Cold comes in with a steel chair.
It's great.
Yeah.
It's great. And I mean, getting back to that really, like, can be freeing to you.
Definitely.
Even if nobody sees it.
Yeah, for
Even
sure.
if there's one person out there and it's your grandma and she can't hear you and she has, what are those things called when you can't see? Escalades? What are they called? Cataracts? She has cataracts, her hearing aid doesn't have a battery and she's out there clapping and she's the only one there. Like, it's still...
Yeah.
You're on stage. There's a spotlight on you. There's music going. You're acting. You're reacting. And that's good, man. I like that. I think if more people had that opportunity, because there are hilarious people in, like you said, our families and stuff. Like you say your dad, like making a noise and stuff. We go to barbecues. There's always that one cousin that's making jokes and telling these grand stories. But if you were to put them on stage, freeze up. And I don't know how to be funny. I don't know what do you want me to say? And that's like, you can't be yourself.
Yeah.
And if you're just yourself all the time, it's comes easier, And I think for me that's the struggle, because hey, we need you to be a little bit more serious. Hey, we need you to crack a whip. Hey, we need you to do this. Even in the military, it's like, no, I'm not. We're rucking 20 miles with 65 pounds on our back. The guys behind me don't want to hear me say, hey, soldiers, let's make this ruck. But I do tell you this, when we're 6 miles in and people are getting blisters, I turn around and say, hey, we're almost halfway there. And we're not.
Awesome.
And to me, that slight bit of like, oh, sir, we're almost 10 miles in? No, we're 6. Damn you, son. Like that half-cracked smile gets them through another mile and a half. And that's kind of how I go through life. Like, as we're going through stuff, like, you gotta laugh.
Yeah, for sure.
You gotta just be yourself. And even in hard situations when people, hey, don't laugh at this. This is serious. I think that's when we really do a disservice to ourselves.
Yeah.
It's hard.
It is hard. Sometimes you want to laugh at something so bad and it's just like, oh, I probably shouldn't, but damn, that's funny.
Not everybody else is gonna laugh at this. Oh man, I definitely shouldn't laugh at this right now. Yeah.
Her casket fell on the floor.
Oh my god, how much was she even in it? No, she was in a vase.
Stone Cold comes out.
Smashes the vase.
Yeah, I think my struggle now has just been like, what do I want to be in? Like, do I want to, I signed up for comedy sports, I auditioned, but like the pandemic shut all that down, and it's like, do I still want to do that? It's a very clean show, family friendly. It's hard to do that type of stuff. It's challenging because sometimes I want to say like a fart joke or say something just like just dumb, and I can't, and it's just like, is that something I want to try like continue doing, or do I want to keep doing my own stuff and focus more on my I do a lot of one-man show type stuff just because it's easier to do,
Yeah.
Sometimes it's hard getting to people just to even show up to anything to
Yeah.
make a project. So that's how that came about. And then interviews, stuff like that. I've been doing more video stuff with like characters, dressing up. Did a whole vampire thing. Where I was a vampire! For Halloween, I got a couple other stuff planned like that. It just, I enjoy doing stuff even if it's just for me. Or it's something I'd show my friends, it's just, I think I'd have a lot of fun doing that.
So you do, I think I'm subscribed to your one-man podcast, and I just do my podcast through Apple. But what else is that on?
I took it off Spotify and iTunes because it was like a monthly thing we have to pay for. And sometimes it was just like, they give you a certain amount of data, gigabytes or whatever. It's like, this week I only did 2 episodes and paying someone so much for, So it's kind of like a thing. It's like, this week I'm super busy, I couldn't do it. Or I just don't feel like podcasting this week. So I was like, I'm going to just search different platforms that are free. Like my Patreon, that's, www.patreon.com/One Man Show Podcast. People find everything on there for free if they really want, like, behind the scenes stuff. Like sometimes I post a blog or pictures of stuff I'm doing or artwork that I'm not going to show anybody else. They can go there and see all that stuff. But all my episodes are on there from the beginning. And it's free to use. People want to contribute and help me get another, like a wig or something.
Yeah.
Or something like that. Or, update things. Like that's the option too. It's very freeing on Patreon. You don't have to be so crazy about it. Then that's on YouTube. I started the YouTube channel.
Oh man, YouTube's. I feel like
I
that's
really
a whole
like it.
beast in itself to master.
It's crazy. You have to learn how to edit, upload, make. It's a lot of work. People don't realize how much
It's a ton of
behind
work.
the scenes stuff you have to do just to even.
Video editing is a lot of work, but I feel like even after you spend your hours, every 15 minutes is supposed to be an hour of editing time. Is what it's supposed to be. I don't even know if that's true with audio format. I feel like when I'm going to be splicing and stuff, I'm going to get into the same thing, but I do know every 15 minutes is like an hour of editing, depending on what you wanted to do. And YouTube in itself is a whole beast on its own.
Yeah.
We had to upload some videos for it too, and it took a while. And I'm like, gosh, I had to set it in private though. It was like army videos that I had to do and fully dressed and stuff. I'm like, this isn't gonna go in public. Get out of here. See a video of me doing formation calls and extend to the left. No.
Yeah. It's a lot to learn, but I mean, once you get the hang of it, you can make content rather quickly. Especially with improv, you can improvise the whole thing like I do, and I just click, upload it to my YouTube, and then that's done. You know what I mean? Most things people are like, let me write this out for like 5 weeks in advance, which is cool. Sometimes like movies and stuff, you get really cool things, but I work a lot differently.
Yeah, I think your story things and stuff. Do you want to do like an improv story or something?
Yeah, let's do an improv story.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm gonna close this one out.
Okay.
And thanks for showing up.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, dude.
All right, y'all. Don't mess with that.
Just take here.
Hello.
I don't know where you got all that from. I've never said that.
What are you listening to, Asher?
That podcast.